You know, we have to take care of him, what can I say?
All right. I hereby call the 2,277th meeting of the Milwaukee City Council to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before we begin tonight, I'd like to note that Council President Beatty has been excused from this evening's meeting, and Councilor Falconer is turned into that little black box there on the, is she there? Did you call her?
She will be soon.
She will soon be that little black box. She's out of town on a work project. Scott.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Hello there.
Councilor Falconer? Angel,
Yeah.
you there?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Scott.
Okay. We've just done the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry we didn't call you earlier.
That's okay. I was watching. Thank you.
All right. First item is the National Archives Month, a proclamation. This will be presented by our City Recorder, Scott Stauffer, and our Milwaukee Historical Society Vice President, Greg Heemer.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'll ask Greg to come forward. I have a couple of announcements to make about Archives Month after Mr. Heemer makes a few remarks, but I just want to start off by saying that Milwaukee is incredibly lucky to have such an active and a strong and engaged historical society in many facets and many events that we do. So thank you, Greg, and Historical Society for being our archives when sometimes the city is missing something.
Well, thank you, Scott. That's very nice. Hi, my name is Greg Heemer, Vice President of Milwaukee Historical Society, owners and operators of Milwaukee Museum, open Saturdays, 1 to 5 p.m., located at 3737 Southeast Adams Street. First of all, I would like to thank Scott, Hannah, and Amy of the City Recorder's Office for the commitment and excitement they express about our city's history and their pursuit of preserving it. Ms. Ober, Mayor, and councilors, the team exemplifies the true meaning of public servants. It is not just sending a response via email in less than 2 hours, running celebrations for City Hall and Dogwood Day, or even downloading content on our shared YouTube account, Milwaukee Heritage Channel. This team always acts professional and with a smile on their face, even when the answer may be no. So kudos to you. Archiving material is not just mothballing paper and items into a dusty drawer, but it gives us a window into our past that helps shape our future. By digging into the archives, you realize the importance of our community, not only to the city and the region, but to our state and country. The archives help us realize our past and shape our future, our values and records, and records the opinions of our community. Archives hold and preserve the history being made at the time. Although Archives preserves the facts, it also preserves the opinions and the thoughts for the time. But they do not necessarily reflect what historians may conclude in the future. In the new technology world, where anyone and everyone can share their thoughts with a click of a button, our archival material is growing at an exponential rate. This brings struggles to archivists like Milwaukee Historical Society. It is hard to determine what is important, what is needed, what to store, or what to discount. We have to remind ourselves that archival material should not be decided by what we want to hear or by the measure or standard we hold to it. But all the information has value, not only in the present, but in the future, when next generations are telling our story of time in history. Milwaukee Historical Society has lost 2 wonderful board members the last couple of months, Michelle DeWitts and Adele Wilder. That without them, many of our archival records inside Milwaukee Museum would not be there to share with the public. Michelle DeWitt's devoted her time to our gardens and being a docent. Adele Wilder, president from 2009 till 2013, devoted herself to the museum and the society. As the archives will reflect the dates, what times they work their shifts at the museum, what was said at a meeting, but it may not reflect the true loving nature both of these people and their influence on our lives. That is up to us to remember them in our hearts and to take the time to reflect about their contributions. Archiving material means a lot. It not only holds the records of the past, but can help shape our future. It creates a sense of values, traditions, and understandings that can be lost in the present. It holds and keeps the reason behind our values and opinions of today. It creates a bonding agent to remind ourselves of our great accomplishments and even greater failures. It records not only the past, but it is the record of the present and the future that our actions will be judged. Now, I would like to enter into the archives a first request. If council chamber moves into the bay to start every council meeting, the mayor, wherever he or she may be, should slide down the fire pole. That is now recorded for future generations to pursue. Thank you.
I want to watch.
Thank you, Mr. Hemer. And I just wanted to note some events that if you wanted to celebrate Archives Month outside the city, there are a number of things coming up. But in addition to every Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. at our own Milwaukee Historical Society, this Saturday, the State Archives in Salem has an open house from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're kicking off a new gallery feature there on the Oregon State Fair, and they'll have games and tours. And you can, I think you can see a copy of the original Oregon State Constitution. Then next Monday, the 8th, there's a public records training available here at 5:30 p.m. put on by the new state records advocate, Ginger McCall, who will provide public records training session right here in Chambers, and attendees will learn how to submit a successful records request and how to navigate public records exemptions. This training will also be streamed live on the city's YouTube channel, so I encourage folks to tune in. Wednesday, October 10th, also next week, is E-Records Day. 1010 is the date on that. There's various online events. It's hosted by the Council of State Archivists. And you can follow along by following the hashtag ERECSDAY, ERECSDAY, on Twitter or Facebook, or follow them at State Archivists on Twitter, or check out their Facebook at facebook.com/Council of State Archivists. And finally, the big event, if you're a big archives nerd, which there are quite a few in the metropolitan area and around the state, I think it's at least their third, maybe fourth, or maybe older, but it's the Archives Crawl from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in downtown Portland. Join over 30 organizations in this year's crawl at any of these locations: the City of Portland Archives and Record Center, the Oregon Historical Society, or the Multnomah County Library. At each site, you'll find representatives from archives, special collections, and heritage organizations, from young, old, and in between, to vintage, photo lovers, to history buff, to scholar, to student, to genealogist, to building researcher, to those who are just curious to learn something new. Everyone is welcome. Find out more at portlandarchives.wordpress.com/crawl. So lots to do to recognize Archives Month. And with that, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I have a proclamation. Whereas the preservation of our shared history is essential to understanding who we are and where we are going as a community, and whereas civic and community archives collect and preserve the documents and materials that express who we are as a people. And whereas civic and community archives would not exist without the professional and volunteer support of individuals and organizations who work tirelessly to preserve the records of our shared experiences. And whereas this community's shared history is carefully preserved by the Office of the City Recorder and the Milwaukee Historical Society, who recommend the proclaiming of National Archives Month in the hope that we may continue to appreciate and value our common story as an inspirational force for our shared future. Now, therefore, I, Mark Gamba, Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas and the State of Oregon, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 as National Archives Month in the Dogwood City of the West.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Is that possible for the
Sure.
Historical Society?
Of course,
You can do that, sure.
for the archives.
I was thinking.
Yeah, for the
I gotta
archive.
hide behind the desk because.
You're not wearing, you forgot your pants?
And I'd just like to say thank you, Greg, very much for that reading. Just reading your notes, you were very clear. You projected very well. I heard every word, so I really appreciate that very much.
Scott makes me look skinny.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Scott.
Our next item is National Planning Month, also a proclamation. And this will be brought to us by our planning director, Denny Egner.
Thank you. Well, I always have to follow Scott on these, and he always does something special, like bring a guest speaker or something. But I could ask Greg to come back up and talk about planning, since he's also a planning commissioner, but I don't think I will.
Because we've only got so many hours.
Right.
It's true. So what is Planning Month? Planning Month is a national celebration about planning, and it's sponsored by the American Planning Association and National Organization of Planners. In Oregon, different cities do different things, and one of the things we're all encouraged to do is do a proclamation to recognize planning as a valuable thing in the community. And this is a really great time to be recognizing planning in Milwaukee. We're doing some exciting things, working on the comp plan, having exciting projects downtown, dealing with housing issues. I mean, there's just so many great things for people that are interested in planning to sort of sink their teeth into right now. We had a great meeting last night on the with the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, a great active group of citizens who are excited about, updating the plan. We've got a event coming up on October 15th, another town hall about the comprehensive plan. That's going to occur at the Waldorf School at 6 o'clock, I think. Check your copy of the pilot.
It's probably in my thing at the end of the meeting.
Yeah. Anyway, it is an exciting time to be involved in planning in Milwaukee, and I'm very happy to be here. And with that, I think it's time for the proclamation.
All right. Yes, it's in my notes for the end of the evening.
Okay.
So, whereas community planning provides a wide range of benefits, including opportunities to, 1, evaluate and manage the constant change that affects cities and the region in a way that provides better choices for how people work, play, and live. 2, involve residents and business owners in making choices that determine the future of their community. And 3, educate public officials and citizens so that they understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, and whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorsed National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning makes to the quality of our settlements and our environment. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of the Planning Commission, the Design and Landmarks Committee, and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city of Milwaukee, as well as to recognize the valuable contributions made by the city's professional planners and extend our thanks for the continued commitment to public service by all of these individuals. Now, therefore, I, Mark Gamba, Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the State of Oregon, do hereby proclaim that the month of October 2018 is hereby designated as Community Planning Month in the City of Milwaukee in conjunction with the National Celebration of Community Planning Month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next year, I'm going to edit that and make it shorter.
Well, you kept it under one page, which is Lisa's rule.
I
So.
was looking at it in comparison to the Archives Month proclamation, and we've got 2 extra paragraphs. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Denny.
Struggle.
Yeah.
And thank you. I mean, that was kind of a very stilted way to do it, but our planning staff is flat out right now. They are working so hard and so fast on so many really big, serious issues and doing a phenomenal job. We keep winning awards. I mean, the award we talked about earlier tonight was very much due to our planning staff's great work on the visioning process. So we have an extraordinary staff.
Are you going to mention the award again? This is actually awards are listed under this part of the.
Well, we could. Sure.
Instead of at the end. Yeah, it says.
All right.
It says special reports, blah, 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 and awards.
So we were surprised to learn that we won the Good Governance Award at the League of Oregon Cities Conference this year, which is the biggest award that the League gives out each year. And the award was given for our visioning process and the vision that we created out of it. And really incredible community involvement that took to create. So it was absolutely a team effort and well-deserved by the team. So that was, yeah. All right, the next item on the agenda is the Clackamas County Library District Intergovernmental Agreement Amendment Resolution, and this will be introduced by our Library Director, Katie Newell. And a guest, Laura Zentner.
So you know who I am.
Everyone knows who you are.
Well, good evening, and thank you for having us here. I'm Katie Newell, the Library Director, and I do, just quick update, we're in the process of moving. So this is good
Loading
news.
boxes yesterday.
So it shall be ready soon. Tonight, I have Laura Zentner, who is the the Deputy of Business and Community Director?
She's the director now.
Director. Oh, and Greg's the Deputy Director. I'm getting these all correct. Because Laura Zentner is the Director of the Business and Community Services, and her Deputy Director is Greg Williams, who, if we had done this in September, would have been here as well. And he was, before he became the new Deputy Director, was the manager of the Link Library Services. So I'm very happy for her, not so happy for us, because he has just been fantastic. And now Laura will have Greg be fantastic for us, doing many things for the county as well. So
thank you so much for having me here tonight, Mayor and City Councilors. As mentioned, my name is Laura Zentner, and I'm the Director of Business and Community Services in Clackamas County. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the Library District IGA proposed amendments. Okay. So the first, I'm going to go over an overview of what I'll discuss, and it will be a quick presentation. So why are we requesting amendments to the Library District Master IGA? And in talking about that, I need to talk about the settlement agreement between Clackamas County and Gladstone. I will cover what amendments are being proposed. So there's 3, and I'll go over those. And then based on a request from Ann, your city manager, I'm going to talk about the library district distributions from the inception of the district through the current date, as well as the capital contributions from Clackamas County. And then finally, I'll talk about the timeline that we're requesting cities to process these amendments. So why are the amendments necessary? So what I want to do here is just talk a little bit about the background. In 2008, the district was formed, and at that time when the district was formed, there were 3 libraries in Clackamas County, and it was the intent of Clackamas County to get out of the library retail business. Hoodland Library, shortly after the formation of the district, transferred to the city of Sandy, the staff and all the operations. And then Clackamas County built the Sunnyside Library in the city of Happy Valley. And when we did that, we closed down Clackamas Corner. And then in July of 2015, all the operations and staff transferred to the city of Happy Valley. And then finally, it was the intent to shut down the Oak Lodge Library, and the intent was for Gladstone to build a library on Webster Road, which did not materialize. So that did not happen. So for a variety of reasons, the plans, again, for the Webster Road facility, as well as the subsequent plans for the library facility on Portland Avenue, did not materialize. And we ended up in litigation, Clackamas County and the city of Gladstone. So now fast forward to October of 2017. And we have a settlement agreement. So city of Gladstone and Clackamas County came to a settlement agreement. And in that agreement, Clackamas County agreed to build, operate, and maintain 2 libraries. One library located at the current City Hall site in Gladstone, a 6,000 square foot library, and then a 19,500 square foot library in the Oak Lodge area, and the site on that is to be determined. And again, Clackamas County would manage and operate both of those libraries. Gladstone agreed to contribute $200,000 to the county, as well as their annual library distribution, for us to manage, build, and operate both of those libraries. So in order to comply with the settlement agreement, we need to make changes to the master IGA. So what are we proposing to be changed? So we have 3 changes that we're requesting. Section 1.6, we are requesting that that Clackamas County be designated as to receive the funds that are in reserve rather than the city of Gladstone. There's about $2.5 million sitting in a reserve. And what those reserves are is, to the extent that the distribution to Oak Lodge exceeded their actual expenditures, they've been setting aside dollars for the eventual build of a library. So again,
so I got lost there. There's 2.5 million, you said, in Gladstone's account.
In a reserve account in the library district. And basically what has happened since the inception of the district, Oak Lodge gets their distribution, and to the extent that they don't spend all of it, the excess remains in the reserve. Since 2008, that has built up to $2.5 million.
So that's the Oak Lodge
reserve,
not the Gladstone reserve.
Well, it was,
but it would have been.
It would have gone to Gladstone had they built the library that would have been on Webster Road.
Okay.
So
okay. All right.
That's the first amendment, is to change the designee. So now Clackamas County gets the money so we can build the libraries per the settlement agreement. So that's the first change. The second is we added a new section 2.4, which basically just memorialized the intent of the settlement agreement. It said that, again, what I just went through, that Clackamas County would build 2 libraries, one in Gladstone, one in Oak Lodge. And it also establishes Clackamas County as a library city, just like any other library city, because we'll be running the 2 libraries.
Is that the 3rd amendment?
This is the second.
It as a, or is that part of the 2nd amendment?
This is part of the 2nd. Okay. And then the final change is just a change to the actual map. So we would have had to change the boundaries if Gladstone would have built the library on Webster Road, but because that didn't happen, everything stays as is. So no service boundary will change at all. Everything will stay as is. So, and this is the most important slide that the cities care about, is that there is very minimal impact to the library cities. So there's no change in the distribution formula. The current distribution formula is based on assessed value and the unincorporated population in your service area. There's no changes to that. And there's no changes to the library service area that everybody currently has. Those will stay the same.
So just for those folks who may be listening who think of it as like the Leading Library is Milwaukee's library, but the Leading Library District goes beyond the city of Milwaukee, and we have, I think it's about 42,000 population.
Just over 40.
Is it?
It's not quite 41,000.
41, yeah. So it's the city of Milwaukee, our 21,000, plus that peripheral area that constitutes our library district, where that levy money comes to the city of Milwaukee for the library functions. And that will not change at all, and it is not being lowered in any way, shape, or form.
It will not change. The distribution will not change. Every library city has their current existing city limits as well as a boundary outside of their city limits, which is where your tax dollars come from, and they're distributed into each city.
So what are the two service area sizes for Gladstone and the Oak Grove service areas?
So Oak Lodge, I believe, is 30,000. And then Gladstone, I believe, is somewhere around 20,000. I'm guesstimating.
Does Gladstone's service district, even with Oak Lodge being separated out, does it still extend beyond the city limits of Gladstone?
Yes, Gladstone's service area is
As
their
a peripheral area.
Yeah, so each library city has their incorporated area as well as unincorporated area that surrounds the city. So
And
Gladstone has that, and then Oak Lodge has their service area.
And the funds that we receive each year for the operation of the libraries are based on population, or is it just a set fund so each of the libraries gets the same amount?
So the distribution won't change in any way, and it's based on a formula.
Because I don't know what Oak Grove's and...
It's approximately 50% based on assessed value. So they take the city's assessed value, and you get a portion based on that. And then they look at the unincorporated population that you have, and you get a share of the dollars based on that population.
Population or assessed value?
The assessed value of the city, so about 50% of the dollars are distributed based on the assessed value. The other 50%, and it's not exactly 50%, is based on the unincorporated population.
Population?
Yes. So the formula is based on population and AV. Because each city, at the time this was negotiated, wanted to ensure that they would receive their incorporated assessed value, the dollars associated with the assessed value of the city.
So Oak Grove, Oak Lodge is not a city. How is that calculated?
So theirs is all based on that unincorporated population.
So theirs is based on 30,000 people.
Well, and I will make sure I get those numbers to you. I was guessing, but
roughly in that area.
Yeah.
And the Oak Lodge Library has continued to function more or less through this time period, right? And
correct.
They've been using...
Run by Clackamas County. It's in the Business and Community Services Division.
Right.
I know we're not here to change the formula, but why would the formula be based on assessed value versus, why should a city that has a higher assessed value have a better library than the citizens in another community that have a less?
I was not here when they actually negotiated the formula, and so I'm implementing the formula as it was negotiated, but I'm assuming that each city believes that their assessed value, there's a correlation between the value and the property taxes that are paid in that area.
I don't follow that for a library, but
Yeah, I don't either.
that's like saying you're going to get a second-class city hall because the value of the property around here is different than the value in
If you have a higher assessed value, though, the more property taxes are paid by those people in that area. So each city wanted to ensure that those citizens who have the higher assessed value, that those dollars go to the city. Does that make sense?
No, not to me, it doesn't. I mean, a library should be a library, should be a library, and we all want great libraries. And it shouldn't matter the value of the property around it, I don't think. That's my personal opinion, but I know we're not here to...
And actually, there is a large task force that we are going to be getting that up and running in the next couple of months, and there will be 2 representatives from each of the library cities on that task force, and one of the things we will be talking about is the formula, and does it make sense? Do the current boundaries still make sense? Because when we started talking about the amendments to the IGA, there was a lot of discussion about the service area and the formula, and did it all make sense? So we will have discussions in the future about that.
So when this is all said and done, there will be 4 libraries in your district that you're running, or no? 3?
More than that, I think, isn't there?
You mean the county?
Yes.
In the county library district, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then it's more.
Well, we have 12.
Oh, no, there's 12.
12.
Yeah. But
Okay,
the
so
county will be...
So all of them are in the same district. See, we
all in
have
the same-
districts that are partial. So like the school district is only a part of the county.
Yeah, so
I'm not as familiar with the library
the
district.
library district of Clackamas County encompasses the entire
All of the county.
other than Johnson City
Yeah.
is not in.
And they opted not to participate. It doesn't include Damascus, you know, again, it
does include
well,
Damascus, actually.
but
But
not
they're
as a
part of
city.
Happy Valley.
Not
Yeah.
as a city, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's Happy Valley, Lake Oswego, Wilsonville, Molalla, Westland, Estacada, Sandy and Hoodland are combined, us.
Tualatin gets a little piece.
Yeah. And so it's the whole county.
So I want to back up to something you said earlier when you were talking about sort of historical. You said that the county built a library that then became Happy Valley's library.
Yeah, at the time we were running Clackamas Corner, and we had a building in the Sunnyside area, and we took that building and turned it into a library, and we ran it for a couple of years, and then we turned it over to the city of Happy Valley on July 1st of 2015.
But you did that and ran that when Clackamas Corners closed.
Yeah, as soon as Sunnyside was up and
Closed
running,
one,
we closed
opened it up in
Clackamas
another
Corner,
space.
and then
Right,
transferred
but the
it.
point I was making was that the county built the library.
With library district funds is the way they did it, as well as the capital contribution, which I will talk to a couple slides from here, maybe it's the next one.
Okay.
So it wasn't
It wasn't a building that
Clackamas
came out
County
of the
didn't pay
ground,
for
though. It was a building that was already there, had been used for other purposes in the past, if I remember. It's the corner building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and from when I hear it, just as the mayor heard it, it sounds like the county built something and then gave it to Happy Valley.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. And maybe
So they used the
simplistic, but
capital contributions, which I'll talk about in a minute, as well as the library distribution, a portion of the library distribution to build the library. So it wasn't Clackamas County general fund dollars at all.
Right.
It was
well, regardless of the source of the funds, it sounds like a library was built and then given to Happy Valley. That's what it sounds like.
That's pretty much what happened.
And the capital funds and operating. So do operating funds just build up in areas that don't currently have libraries until some day at which they should build a library? I mean, I'm trying to picture how this amount of money to build a building, because we're currently building a building. I have a pretty good idea of what it costs to build a building. And it's a lot. So I'm trying to understand where these funds came from that built a library for Happy Valley that they were then given.
So just like Oak Lodge set aside dollars over the years, Clackamas Corner did the same thing. They received their library distribution, and any dollars that they did not spend, they put aside in a reserve. And keep in mind, we had a piece of land and an existing building, so it was a remodel. Basically, It wasn't a new building from the ground up. So.
That's your question.
No, but go ahead and continue with your.
No, but I have one question about that, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And I'm trying to look at the Milwaukee map. I'm sorry. So Clackamas Corners was located at Clackamas Town Center, which is in Milwaukee's UGMA, on this side of Highway 205. So all of a sudden, I mean, it strikes me, I guess I'm curious as to why those funds from that library then went to Happy Valley.
So that library was the library that was servicing Happy Valley at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And again, Clackamas County, it was their intent to get out of the library business. So if you look at the IGA, we had the intentions of shutting down Clackamas Quarter, building a new library in Happy Valley, and then transferring the operations to the city of Happy Valley. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Okay. So you had more that you were gonna.
So this next slide is, again, based on a request from City Manager Ann Ober. So what this represents is, in the first column, is the library district revenue for fiscal year 17-18 that goes to each of the cities in the library district of Clackamas County. And you can see City of Milwaukee receives approximately $1.6 million. So I wanted you to be able to see the annual amount. And then what we did was we went all the way back to the inception of the district, and you can see since fiscal year 9-10 all the way through fiscal year 17-18, the City of Milwaukee has received almost $12 million in library district distributions. And then you can see the other cities and what they've received. And then the third column is the capital contribution from Clackamas County. And this actually is from Clackamas County's general fund. And they agreed at the time that the library district was set up to give each city library $1 million towards capital costs.
No matter what size the service area or the library needed to be, it was just $1 million.
It was $1 million.
Serve 12 people, they got $1 million. If you're going to serve 40,000 people, you got $1 million.
Well, each of the library cities was, I think, set up based around a city and then also an unincorporated area. And again, I wasn't here when they did that, but I could show you all the maps and kind of how they lay out across Clackamas County. But yes, it was $1 million to each city, unless you had a city like Happy Valley that was serving two cities. So they service Damascus as well as Happy Valley. So you'll see that they received $2 million.
We're serving, in essence, two cities. We're serving, population-wise, we're serving the same thing that, actually, I would bet, we're serving more than what Happy Valley's. So they got $2 million, we got $1 million. We're serving more people.
Actually, we're not. I didn't bring those figures.
I don't have them with me here.
But our service area isn't as big as Happy Valley's.
Square miles or number of people?
Number of people.
Really?
Is it?
It's all of Damascus and then all of Happy Valley as well as.
Well, Damascus was like.
Close.
Well, but
it's close.
8,000 people
to
or something.
Same amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
surprisingly, Oregon City has the highest number of population in their service area, and it's around 54,000. And then everybody kind of goes down from there. We're kind of in the middle.
But even if we were close to Happy Valley, this idea that Happy Valley's serving two cities or whatever, and that they get double, $2 million to R1, it's just staggering. I'm not here to criticize you, Ms. Henry. You weren't there. No. But from anyone who's just looking at these numbers, this looks terrible to Milwaukee.
But I'm happy to provide all of the populations of the service areas. I can email that.
Yeah, that would be really great. This wasn't in our packet, was it?
No, this is what Councilor Beatty had requested a couple weeks ago, and this is what we were trying to come to a calculation on. I will also note that the changes that Laura has brought tonight, these are actually outside of those changes, but this was just an understanding for how much money realistically we're talking about for our library and others.
So the two libraries in Oak Grove and Oak Lodge, are you guys calling it Oak Lodge or Oak Grove?
Oak Lodge.
Okay.
It's because it's Oak Grove and Jennings
Lodge. Yeah. Are probably smaller libraries than what we're building, I'm guessing. They're going to be
19,500 square feet is what we're anticipating for
combined, or one of them?
For one of them, and then 6,000 square feet for Gladstone.
So that one will be bigger than ours.
So I'm not seeing the math here. I mean, they must have saved up operating funds for like 50 years.
Oh, we intend to issue revenue bonds in order to build the library. There's no way we can build it with the current existing dollar.
Bonds for just within their city limits?
Well, no, the county will issue, because we are going to build, maintain, operate both libraries based on the lawsuit settlement agreement.
So,
but when we reached out to the county to do that 4 years ago, they made it complicated enough that we decided we'll just tax our own citizens, and the library that we're going to build will be free to the other 20,000 people that utilize it.
Keep in mind, though, that Clackamas County General Fund isn't paying for this, so that it'll be the distribution as well as the existing reserves that will pay for this. So it's not additional dollars coming in from Clackamas County.
I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
The point is, we're struggling to build a building, and the problems that we're facing are being solved for two cities that didn't have the chutzpah to build their own buildings.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, that we have not done the financial analysis yet, and when we will be doing that, and I am not certain that we can sustain a 19,500 square foot library for the existing dollars, so we may have to scale back, especially after we've seen your numbers, and we believe that we'll have to scale back our library also, because we don't think that it's probably feasible to build a 19,500 square foot library. The construction costs have gone way up since we built the Sunnyside Library.
Yes, we know.
Yes.
So why would the bond be countywide? Why not just in the district?
It's not countywide.
It's being issued by the county.
Issued by the
It's
county.
a
To the
revenue
service
bond.
district of
Only for
that
this-
library,
So it's not a geo bond.
which is precisely what we asked to do.
Right, and we could,
Well, they didn't say we couldn't. They
No,
just
but
said
there
they weren't
was-
interested in helping.
right.
So a revenue bond is different than a geo bond.
Yeah, because if we'd been able to do that, we would have been able to capture that
Twice as much.
from our entire area, our peripheral area, as well as within the city limits. But we didn't really have that opportunity.
Correct.
So any questions on this?
Well, you can, just one more thing that I would like, as I've mentioned, the property values. I mean, you can just see there what the district revenues are, and if it's based on property value, I mean, look at those numbers. And I just don't understand the fundamental assumption that a wealthier community should have a better library. And maybe I'm a minority on that, but.
No,
And because of Milwaukee and the way our property tax system works and the way our values were, I mean, we'll never catch up. And a city like Happy Valley that's growing is bringing in development at the new rates and higher assessed value anyway.
well, the only thing, though, is West Lynn should have a higher tax assessed value than we do. They're roughly the same population. Of course, they don't have any industrial. That's what saves us. Our industrial pushes up. our assessed value. Because Westland's the same population-ish that we are. So is Wilsonville.
Yeah. Anyway, I know you didn't create this formula.
Yeah, and I'm, just so you know, I'm happy to come meet anytime you would like, and I can go over the formula, show you exactly how it works, and show you all the populations of the service areas and some of the questions that you've had tonight that I don't just have in my back pocket, but I'm happy to meet with you and go over anything that you want to know about the Library District of Clackamas County.
Thank you.
And we will be coming back to council when it's time to appoint to the interlocal task force. So we'll have a discussion when we get closer about the concerns of council going into that opening as well.
That will be an important task force. Yeah.
Shane, you might be available then.
I might be.
Yes. You would be very good on that. And I would just like to say we do very well with the money we get. We make it last, and we do a good job with the support of the community. We don't get as much money as Lake Oswego, but
yeah, no, we do
a fantastic job.
We do.
So
you guys run a great library.
I am really proud of what we do with what we get. So
I agree.
Yeah, we are too.
Well, and the, what is it, somewhere around 150 or whatever volunteers that you have.
It's
probably
amazing.
even more than that. Yeah. We bless them all the time.
Yes.
Is there some kind of clock on this IGA?
We are, well, actually, I have
By
a
the end of
slide
this
on that.
month. By the end of this month.
So,
That they want.
Very good question. So what is the process timeline for adoption? We're asking all of the cities to approve this before the end of the month. So far, we'll have a list here. So far, Lake Oswego, Westland, Estacada, Gladstone, Wilsonville, Sandy, and I believe Malala have passed the amendment. And I'm here tonight at Milwaukee, and then Oregon City, Canby are both tomorrow night. So I'll be in Oregon City tomorrow night, and then Happy Valley, I believe, is a couple weeks out. So,
and it's a 2/3 vote?
So 2/3 of the library cities need to approve this in order for us to be able to build the libraries in both Gladstone and Oak Lodge.
With the number that you just rattled off, have you reached the 2/3 already?
If you approve it tonight, I believe we'll be at the 2/3.
Wow.
Or if it's tomorrow night, somewhere else. Would council like to postpone? I mean, we can put this on to the 16th if you'd like to continue discussion.
Well, partially because Lisa had asked for this information, and she's not here.
And then we have the new information we've asked for.
Right. We would like to see the population numbers that correlate with those numbers. It'd be nice to see one chart that includes populations served.
We have that.
With all of those numbers, both the operating funds and the capital funds that have been expended for the libraries in those districts, I think. So, yeah, I think I'd move to postpone this until the next meeting, which is the 16th. Is that the?
Correct.
Yep.
Can I ask a follow-up? I want to get back to something that was mentioned really early on, if that's okay. There's a task force forming about the formula and the boundaries, and I believe you said 2 members from Milwaukee's district area. Do we know who? Has that already been established who those 2 members will be,
No.
or is that something you're looking for input from the city?
We are just in the phase of setting up the task force, and we believe at this time that there will be 2 representatives from every library city. That hasn't been finalized because we have to take it to the Board of County Commissioners first and get their approval. But yes, we are setting up the large task force, and the discussion will focus on the sustainability of the libraries, the formula, the boundaries.
How will those people be chosen?
I believe each city will get to select who they would like to participate, whether you would like it to be your library director or an elected official. But again, I'm not, that's just preliminary, what we're thinking, to make sure we have representation from every one of the cities. That's critical. And again, that'll go to the Board of County Commissioners. We'll give them, here's how we'd like to set up a task force, and then they'll bless it, and then we'll go to the cities to who would select those folks to be on the committee.
Thank you. I didn't ask that. I didn't catch that last part. You'll ask the cities?
So the cities would be able to choose who would be on the task force from their city.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh. That's the end of the presentation.
All right. Thank you very much for coming in.
Okay, lots of information. What the things to think about.
And I think I can probably go back to my office and send that information about the population. I'll try and send that to you tonight.
Thank you.
Because we get that every year.
And should I plan on being back here on the 16th? Or?
I think it'd be great, even just for questions.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
All right, on tonight's consent agenda, we have the council meeting minutes of the August 21st, 2018 regular session, the September 4th, 2018 work session, and the September 4th, 2018 regular session. We have a resolution authorizing the planning director to sign an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development to fund the city's equitable housing policy and implementation project. Does any member of council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
No.
No.
I'll take that as a no from Angel. Then I would.
It's a little difficult to hear. I'm sorry. No.
Okay, I'll try and speak louder. I would entertain it.
Better. Thank you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None heard. It passes unanimously of those present and sort of present. All right. Audience participation. This is the part of the agenda during which council will hear citizen statements regarding city business. Those wishing to speak must fill out the yellow speaker registration card available on the table in the hallway and identify agenda item number 4, audience participation. As council has other business items on the agenda this evening, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Because the information provided during the public comment may be new to some councilors, the city manager will respond at the next council meeting to those comments that require follow-up. Before we begin, are there any follow-up reports from the September 18th, 2018 audience participation? Ms. Ober.
There are not.
Thank you. So I'm assuming this is not to do with what you did before. This is us getting to see you again. All right. So we'll start with Greg.
I'm not supposed to say my address anymore. It's Greg Hemer, Milwaukee, representing the Linwood NDA. So I get 6 minutes.
Yes.
I learned that rule myself. And I wish I would have done this after October 8th because of the requests I am going to make, but time may be of the essence. City of Milwaukee, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager, I am here to ask for an official records request. As you may know, a fatal traffic accident recently occurred near the intersection of Linwood Avenue and Southeast Queen Street in Milwaukee/unincorporated Clackamas County. Linwood NDA is concerned with the number of traffic-related accidents near this intersection and the intersection of Linwood Avenue and Southeast Monroe Street in Milwaukee/unincorporated Clackamas County. Linwood NDA would like to see data regarding these intersections. Therefore, Linwood NDA is requesting City of Milwaukee to obtain records of traffic accident-related incidences, including pedestrian and bicycle, for the following intersections: Southeast King Road and Linwood Avenue, Southeast Queen Street and Linwood Avenue, Southeast Jack Street and Linwood Avenue, Southeast Monroe Street and Linwood Avenue, Southeast Montgomery Drive and Linwood Avenue, and any other traffic accident incident on or near Linwood Avenue between Southeast King Road and Southeast Montgomery Drive. We request 2 years of data beginning January 1st, 2017 to the date of the submittal of this letter from both City of Milwaukee Police Department and Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. We ask this information be digitally sent to the email addresses listed on this piece of paper by October 11th, 2018 before 5 p.m. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact Zach Perry, Linwood NDA President. I bow out on that one. Thank you guys very much on behalf of the Linwood Neighborhood District Association, and I will give this to Ann so that she has a hard copy.
So I'm also just going to say this is an open records request, so I would ask that we go through that process. Scott will be in touch with you tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll watch October 8th so I know how it works.
Okay. Alice Fetter.
I promise him and I are not working together, but we're talking about the same thing. So I just wanted to come here more as a statement, as a citizen, as to the situation around Monroe and Linwood. So there's been several accidents, 3 accidents actually, in just over a 24-hour period in that time in that area.
24-hour,
Just over 24 hours. There was 2 accidents in one day at 1 p.m. and then 6 p.m. and then another one, the fatal accident that he had mentioned that happened at Queen and Linwood. The 2 accidents in one day were Monroe and Linwood. And so there's been a lot of information on social media and like the Nextdoor app talking about this. People are outraged and wondering what's going on with, you know, this intersection. And then there's a little bit of like, well, it's Clackamas County, it's City of Milwaukee. We're kind of caught in this little no man's land, I think. I live in Milwaukee, unincorporated, but I've lived in this area for most of my life. So I lived on the corner of Linwood and Monroe since 1978, and I was there till 1990 when I moved away. There was an accident there, usually every 1 to 2 months, and some were injuries, some were just property damage. My parents lived there until about 2001, when they were done living in that close to that intersection. They moved just a few blocks down onto Jack Road, and so they still were aware of the accidents, but not having to go out and direct traffic or hear the ambulances and understand what was going on. I've moved back to Milwaukee in 2017, and I can see that it's not getting any better. I did live down on 42nd and Washington for about 10 years, so I was close to that, using that intersection, but I wasn't as impacted. What's brought me here today is my concern about this intersection not getting any better. And I know that there were plans to improve this area of Monroe, and I haven't seen much update of that in the last couple of years. I couldn't find any information more recently on the city's website as to where we are with I think it was the Milwaukee Monroe Street Greenway plan. And I know there were some ideas as to change the direction of traffic and change the flow, and that was very expensive. I have no idea what has gone on with that plan, but the concern I have is that we're focusing more on how we're going to change traffic patterns rather than behaviors of people. And the behaviors that I see, where we still have people that are not obeying the law, they're speeding, they're not obeying traffic signals, they're driving drunk, leaving the bars and the restaurants that are a little bit farther down on King Road. Those are the concerns that I have. We're not addressing the behaviors of people, and that's where I would ask that the city work with the county to potentially bring up the plans that were there to address the traffic patterns, but also add to that where we're not putting this intersection as part of a larger plan that has the risk of being moved out, too expensive, but really address the problems of this particular intersection because it is deadly. And I'm concerned also about the park that's being built just a couple blocks up on Monroe, increasing pedestrian and bike traffic people are going to be trying to cross that road, and the accidents could potentially increase. So that was my citizen concern.
So just to catch you up a little bit on where we're at. So that intersection happens to be part of two different projects in a way.
Sure.
It's, we have our Monroe Greenway, which we've been planning for, geez, it feels forever, but I think it's only
2014.
4 years, yeah. And that's a big, relatively expensive project from 99E all the way to the, well, actually our portion to Linwood.
Right.
However, the design for that intersection is in our plans. The other project that is moving faster is our SAFE program, which is our Safe Routes to School, ADA compliance. The Monroe Greenway is part of that, but yes.
Yeah.
But the SAFE program has funding that, as I'm understanding it, will affect that intersection sooner rather than later. It won't wait. It won't need us to wait for a big grant or something.
When you say sooner, is that government sooner?
Well, yes, that is government sooner. But we are doing the planning this spring with the expected installation of this by our third year of SAFE, so in a year and a half. 2 years we'll start
so this was actually our priority route, number one route. It's also one of the more complicated ones. Yeah. I know it doesn't kind of seem like it should be, but it is engineering wise. So it's in process now. It just takes some time to engineer it. So this is all moving. We're aware, and I'm in utter agreement that that's probably it's certainly the most dangerous intersection in our neighborhoods.
Yes.
If you subtract 99E and 224.
Yeah. I'm definitely encouraged to hear that it's got attention, and I know that there's going to be traffic pattern changes just based on what I read with the SAFE program. I'm just hoping that there can be also attention on maybe speed limit or.
We've actually also had officers out there since the start of school, and we've increased enforcement on the road as well.
Up closer to King Road or down by the school, Linwood
Down
Elementary?
by the school.
Okay, yeah, because I think that people are good in the 20-mile-an-hour zones. Mm-hmm. When they come around that corner, that's where we have the issue, mm-hmm. is people just aren't expecting cars to be coming at the angle that they are and how fast they're coming. We need to have that from just before Monroe all the way to King Road really be understood as to how people are utilizing that road and not following laws as well. So.
Yeah, so you'll get more at the next meeting, and we'll have a response.
Yeah, but to be honest, we've basically given the response, and we've provided the flyer that Kelly developed that outlines what the program timing is. So you can expect, part of this too is that we go out and we talk to the neighbors as we're actually doing the drawings and making sure that we're meeting everyone's needs as we're going.
Is that part of going to the Linwood Neighborhood Association, yeah. That one as well? Okay.
We'll be going to the Linwood Neighborhood Association, but some of this is also just encroachments and right-of-way, so we'll be going out and talking to a lot of neighbors door to door.
Okay. Yeah, don't forget your unincorporated Milwaukeeans, because I know that we sit on the Clackamas County side, but we're also impacted from this as well. So
I'm fairly certain you're welcome to attend your neighborhood association meeting.
Going to suggest
we will.
That.
Yeah. We will. Yeah. Okay.
Second Thursday of the month.
And stay tuned. We get that it's getting worse, and we're on it.
I'm glad I'm not bringing this first to your attention. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Alice.
Thank you.
Any more? That's the only two I have. All right. In that case, we are at the Climate Action Plan adoption, a resolution. And this will be introduced by our Public Works Director, Peter Passarelli. And is the team coming up, or no? Nope. Okay. Leaving Peter all on his own.
All on my own. Good evening, Mayor Gamba and council members. I'm very excited to be here tonight. to introduce for adoption our climate action plan. We started on this process about a year ago, last October, where we hired our consultant team of Enviro Issues, or Good Company and Enviro Issues. Josh Proudfoot is in the back with Good Company, and Emma Sagor with Enviro Issues are back there. They helped us put together the climate action plan. Part of that effort involved incorporating a climate action plan committee that we ended up bringing 17 members of our community and regional partners and utility partners together to help us develop this plan and provide the project team advice on what should be in that plan. So the plan that we put together sets out a very ambitious goal, but achievable goal. The goal is by 2040 that Milwaukee's buildings will have no net emissions, and by 2050 we will be a fully carbon neutral city. The plan has that we put together lays out about 53 different strategies in terms of mitigation strategies, adaptation strategies, and a sequestration strategy. Those strategies get us to about 73% of our goal. To get to that remaining part of the goal, we're asking our community and business members to take action at the household and business level, and we're going to provide separate plans based off of our climate action plan that they can use to do that. One of the things that I wanted to briefly talk about were what our next steps after adoption were. We're getting ready to publish those household and business versions of the plan the middle of this month, and we're finalizing the recruitment of a climate action plan, or climate action and sustainability coordinator that we'll bring on board to help us with the implementation of the plan. We'll be developing a messaging strategy to make the community more aware of the plan, to help us have an external message with the plan to our regional partners, business members, and to help us emulate, so others can emulate the city as a model of climate action. One of the things that I did want to mention was that it was very important. We had very good relationship with our utility partners in this process, both PGE and Northwest Natural. And I wanted to ask if Andy Macklin, who's the director of Smart Cities, could come up and say a few words about their thoughts on the climate action process as well.
Sure. Yeah, come on up.
Thank you, Peter. Mr. Mayor and councilors, we, just on behalf of PGE, a few notes. And we've already, I think, submitted a letter into the record on this in support of the Climate Action Plan. First off, I would just say thank you for allowing us to be part of this process. We see this partnership with the city, just as with all of our cities, but with Milwaukee as being vital to our future in our service territory, but also more broadly than that. So thank you for allowing us to participate. There's a lot that we're already doing together, and I think some of it already shows up in the plan, whether it's our electric avenue that we're working on together, piloting smart streetlights in the downtown area, and we're looking at things like battery storage, demand response, distributed energy resources in Milwaukee that I think will all contribute to the goals that you've laid out. And so I think, bottom line, we as a company on behalf of PG just want to applaud your efforts and your leadership, and we look forward to partnering in the coming months and years and decades as you work to achieve these goals and we work to achieve our own goals around climate as well. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Brooke Berglund was our representative predominantly from PG, and she was a really active part of the committee. It was an extraordinary committee. I was actually paging through looking for the list because I was going to read it. It doesn't appear to be there anymore. Did we not list the members in the plan, members of the committee in the plan?
It is. It's in the acknowledgements.
So clear at the end?
It's in the, yes, it's one of the Appendix A in the acknowledgements.
Okay, I'll try and find it while we're...
The acknowledgements show the Climate Action Plan Committee members as well as the implementation workshop members that assisted us with the plan. We actually have 2 members tonight here from our Climate Action Plan Committee too.
Brett left.
Kathy Hizzy's here.
Mr. Mayor, it's a link on
I found it. I got it. Thanks.
Earlier this evening at the work session, I provided a brief update of what we had done from the last update, September 4th. And I did want to mention that during the process, I think we engaged with over 200 residents within the community, either through our Climate Action Plan Committee meetings, online surveys that we had, our Climate Action Summit that we had May 31st, that we had a very good turnout for. That was, I think, well received, and we got a lot of good feedback at that meeting. We did have a public comment period over the last 2 weeks of September, and we did receive some comments, and we made some minor revisions to the document that I provided earlier at the work session, a document, sort of an errata sheet, the edits following that public review. So I'd ask that the council adopt the plan with those revisions that proposed.
Okay, is there any questions or conversations, anything?
No, I have none.
We can vote and then talk about it, or talk about it and then vote. I don't care, one way or the other.
Either way is fine.
Do you want a motion?
Sure, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting the Milwaukee Community Climate Action Plan with the revisions as noted by staff.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the resolution adopting the Milwaukee Community Climate Action Plan with the revisions noted by staff. Is there any further discussion?
Is this when we get to talk, or should we wait until we vote?
Let's vote.
Okay. Then I have no further discussion on the plan.
Angel, anything?
Nothing to, no, just, I would just say, again, I think that, that the public engagement that we did on this was wonderful, and I'm looking at the community engagement by the numbers, and I'm just so pleased to see again that we've done this work in this way. So I'm ready to vote.
Okay. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None heard. It passes unanimously. So at some point I want to read the resolution because it's actually a really great resolution. But first I want to talk a little bit about the process and the team. This was a goal set in place at our at this council's first goal session, and we, or at least it was started at that point. And we moved really quickly as a city and did a really robust job, I think. I've seen a lot of climate action plans, and I know many of those took a lot longer than ours did. But I think ours is a very actionable plan. It's very straightforward. It sets realistic while significant goals. And when I say that, there's often an argument for we shouldn't try to do too much, and I would argue that we have to. There's a certain amount we have to do. It's incumbent on us. And if that seems hard at the time, it nonetheless is incumbent on us. So I'm significantly proud of the city and the willingness to step up and do the things that are necessary, the things that every city in every country should be doing. So I want to read the members of the Climate Action Plan Committee. Shane Abma was the council liaison. Vince Alvarez was a community member. Brooke Bergland was the community affairs from PGE. Linda Blue, a community member. Shauna Brownstein from Northwest Natural. Patricia Cronin, a community member. Eric Corey Freed, a community member. David Dugan was from one of our large employers, a large industrial company. Mark Hilton, a community member. Jonathan Hutchinson, North Clackamas School District. Kathy Heisey, who's in the room tonight, community member. Brett McCon, a community member who was here earlier for the work session. Eben Polk from Clackamas County. Scott Stewart, another large employer and also an industrial company. Andy Taylor, a community member, and Yelena Wozniak, community member. And all of these folks worked really hard, had to wade through some exceedingly technical stuff, and try and translate that into something that the community could work with, that the community can absorb and make it a useful tool. We are hiring a staff member who will spearhead this process, and that should happen in the very near future. And then the work begins.
As I said at the work session, I thought we had an amazing committee and such talented people, and they not only came with a lot of knowledge, but they had a lot of great input, and they were willing to keep going and do more meetings, even though we only had so many scheduled. They wanted to do more, and that was fantastic. And our consultants also put in the extra effort and did a wonderful job too, as did Peter in guiding us, and of course the mayor in getting the ball rolling. Also, we do have PGE representative here, and I do want to give a shout out to the partnership that you've had with Milwaukee. We love it. We love being the guinea pig of your smart cities initiatives and your pilot programs, because it's going to take, we can't do it ourselves. We're going to need our partners in the community, so we really appreciate that you've picked us to help move this forward. I learned a lot during the committee. I guess I would say that one thing I want to make sure that we do is that we have these metrics set and that we are keeping track of them, so that we don't just put the plan to the side, but that somehow we've talked about doing a dashboard or whatever, but people need to see progress, and then that makes them excited to want to do more. And I think it's just would be helpful if we had something, I don't know best way to do that, but that people can track our progress. And as the mayor said, some of these things, they may seem difficult, but they're all doable, and we can do these. It's just we have to get on board and do them. And my final thing I want to say is that as far as the household, when we do develop that household and the business one, I think it needs to be as simple as it can be, in a sense that people need to be able to digest it. And when I look at some of these documents that we have, not just this one, but on a lot of things the city does, I think about my mother in Kentucky, high school education, and if she's going to get a piece of paper that she can't follow or too technical, she's going to toss it, and we're not going to, get in. So I always try and think about making it so that our community can understand it and read it and follow through on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just thrilled that we got to this point. I think it's pretty exciting. Yeah. And quicker than I thought we would.
Angel, did you have anything?
I would just say congratulations to everybody, the committee, the staff. You just really you continue to impress, and we set a really big goal, and you knocked it out of the park, and I appreciate you all so much, and to my fellow councilors and the mayor for helping to put this forward as one of our main goals and to accomplish it. I just feel so proud. So good job, everybody.
So a resolution of the City Council of the City of Milwaukee, Oregon, adopting the Milwaukee Community Climate Action Plan. Whereas on April 23rd, 2017, the City Council held a goal-setting session and voted to bring forth actions towards becoming a net zero energy community by 2040. And whereas on April 17th, 2018, the City Council resolved that it will take aggressive steps to minimize climate change and increase climate-related resilience by implementing specific actions identified in the city's climate action plan that provide the greatest impact possible given the city's financial resources. And whereas that in actions and planning, the City of Milwaukee will strive to be a model for climate change reduction for both its residents and other cities. And whereas the Milwaukee Community Climate Action Plan identifies actions to achieve city climate goals while also substantially contributing to many other city goals, including transportation choices, building energy efficiency, urban forest protection, and sustainable economic development. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Milwaukee Community Climate Action Plan I think there was an additional climate in there somewhere. The Milwaukee Community Climate Action Plan be adopted by City Council for implementation by staff. All right. Good job. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. If I could just say one thing, I thank you, Ann, for the confidence you had in me to put this together, and Mayor Gamba and City Council for allowing me to work on this project. It was very enlightening. It was a passion of mine, and I appreciate the opportunity to put this plan together. Thanks.
Thank you,
We
Peter.
appreciate the amazing work you did doing it. Thank you. And for your leadership. This would not have happened under most city managers.
Thanks for hiring me. No, it's been an exceptional project. I'm so proud of everyone who's been involved, and I deeply appreciate how much time and effort Peter and the consultants put into making this the right fit for us. So thank you all.
Thanks. Thanks.
All right. The next item up is opposition to Measure 105. Thanks, Andy. Opposition to Measure 105, a resolution. And this is going to be introduced by Councilor Angel Falconer.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So Measure 105 is on the ballot for the general election, as I'm sure most of you are aware. And I just wanted to point out a few some really important points I thought about when I was sort of researching this for myself. And the first thing that just really stuck out at me is that Oregon's anti-racial profiling law was passed long before the current political climate, with overwhelming support from Republicans and Democrats to stop the targeting of innocent people in violation of their civil rights. We find ourselves today talking about a 31-year-old law that has been successful in outlining the ways in which our local resources can be used in coordination with federal authorities. And I can't help but wonder, why? Why is this coming up now? And my strong suspicion is that it's meant to be a political tool to divide us. And I think it's unnecessary. And that's not just based on my own feelings. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the work that our police department does in this community. They are a model for community policing. And so when I was considering this resolution and drafting it, I reached out to Chief Bartol to ask him for his input. And he told me that one of his biggest concerns with Measure 105 was that it would erode the trust that he and his department have worked so hard to build over the years, further isolate many members of our community, and make them less likely to call the police to report a crime. He highlighted that current law does not prevent his officers from working with federal authorities when a crime has been committed. And he also told me that, quite frankly, we don't have the resources to add that kind of responsibility of enforcing federal civil law to the duties of our local police officers. So with that, I'd ask my fellow councilors, the mayor, if you have anything you'd like to add, I'd welcome to hear those comments. You've had the resolution now for over a week. I'd like to hear your comments.
My only comments, Angel, are that I support your resolution, and you had said you wonder why this is being brought up now after 31 years, and we know why. It's because of the environment that's being created at the national level by this administration, and there's no reason to overturn this law. So I support your resolution and asking others to vote no on this measure.
I agree completely. I think the sort of national leadership that has devolved sort of human dignity and decency to the point where it's openly okay to be racist is appalling. And the fact that they would attempt to undo law that was passed on a very bipartisan measure. This was not a partisan issue when it was passed decades ago. It was very bipartisan because it wasn't a political issue. People recognized the importance of it. It's sad and pathetic that we have to oppose something like this, but oppose it we will.
I agree, and I certainly think that Chief Bartal laid out some good points for us to all consider, not only of those of us sitting here at City Council meeting, but for the rest of the citizens too. It's really important that we treat everyone with respect and understand that we're all Americans, and we are all. I agree that we need to oppose this ballot measure. So.
I would just note that in the final draft that made it into the packet, I apologize, the date introduced and adopted by City Council on October 2nd should be corrected.
It has been.
We've corrected it.
Okay, the one I have is still, so thank you.
Yeah, I figured you guys
Thank you to
that.
Councilor Atma.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Angel, would you like to make the motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Milwaukee, Oregon, in opposition to statewide ballot measure 105 to repeal Oregon's decades-old anti-racial profiling law.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the resolution in opposition to statewide ballot measure 105 to repeal Oregon's decades-old anti-racial profiling law. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None heard. That passes unanimously. I am going to read the resolution because I think it's important. Mm-hmm. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Milwaukee, Oregon, in opposition to statewide ballot measure 105 to repeal Oregon's decades-old anti-racial profiling law. Whereas Oregon's anti-racial profiling law was passed in 1987 with broad bipartisan support, just one no vote in each the House and the Senate. And whereas all Milwaukee residents should be able to trust that they can call the police to report a crime or go to school or work without fear of being unfairly targeted because of the color of their skin or the language they speak. And whereas current law does not protect those who commit crimes, rather it has provided guidance for over 30 years to local law enforcement on complicated immigration issues, including when it is appropriate to coordinate with federal immigration authorities. And whereas current law prevents limited local resources from being diverted away from community safety, and if this measure passes, local police could be asked to use Milwaukee taxpayer funds to target people suspected only of violating non-criminal civil infractions. And whereas at a time when white nationalists are emboldened to promote their anti-American agenda, ending Oregon's anti-racial profiling law sends the wrong message, and it's not who we should aspire to be. A beacon of hope and opportunity where shared values of freedom, liberty, and justice for all bind us as Americans. And whereas immigrants are a core part of Milwaukee's culture and economy, and ending Oregon's anti-racial profiling law could hurt our reputation as a welcoming city where all our residents can thrive and diverse and talented entrepreneurs are encouraged to start new businesses. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Milwaukee, Oregon, that we strongly oppose the effort to repeal Oregon's decades-old anti-racial profiling law and strongly encourage all voters in Milwaukee and across the state to vote no on Measure 105.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Angel.
Thanks for your work on this, Angel.
Thank you for supporting it.
All right, so now we have council reports, and I, of course, have a script. Do you guys have anything else you want to start with?
Already talked about LOC, so I'm good.
It's pretty comprehensive usually.
Before we go, unfortunately, I was caught up in the emotion of the moment, and I didn't really get a chance to thank Josh Proudfoot from The Good Company and Emma Sagor from Enviro Issues. They were extraordinary, and the outreach and the education that the two of them afforded us were kind of above and beyond the call of duty. So they were a really important, critical part of our team, and I neglected to thank them while they were sitting there. So, sorry. The Oregon Drive Less Challenge began yesterday and continues through October 15th. Log your trips at www.drivelessconnect.com. The more trips you log, the better chance you have of winning some great prizes. Be sure to come downtown this Friday, October 5th, for a number of wonderful events, including a bridge dedication in Milwaukee Bay Park from 4 to 5 p.m. Join elected officials and the community to officially dedicate the newly completed bridge with refreshments and a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Right after the bridge dedication, head downtown for the final First Friday event of the season from 5 to 9 p.m. Finally, at 7:30 p.m., the Chapel Theater opens the play Anatomy of a Hug. The Chapel Theater is located at 4107 Southeast Harrison Street. The Great Willamette Cleanup is this Saturday, October 6th from 8:30 to noon, and one of the sites is Milwaukee Bay Park. You can still reserve a seat in a tandem kayak or canoe or bring your own boat to participate. Visit the city calendar at www.milwaukeeoregon.gov to find the link to register. You can still register in advance or the day of for a 5K this Saturday, October 6th from 9 a.m. to noon to benefit the United Ostomy Association. You can find the link to register on the city calendar at www.milwaukeeoregon.gov. Elders in Action and the Milwaukee Public Safety Foundation are hosting a fraud and prevention panel on Tuesday, October 9th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the Public Safety Building. Registration is not required and the event is free to attend. The panel will discuss ways to avoid fraud and scams and the steps to take if you are impacted by them. The Davis Graveyard will have their annual open house on Sunday, October 14th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is the only time they let the public on the property to view the props up close. Please keep in mind that Southeast 43rd is closed for the open house from Johnson Creek Boulevard to Roswell Street. Come out to discuss your thoughts on park and recreation, natural hazards, the Willamette Greenway, and climate change at the Comprehensive Plan Town Hall on Monday, October 15th at 6 p.m. at the Waldorf School. Childcare, refreshments, and Spanish translation will be provided. RSVP to plan@milwaukeeoregon.gov. celebrate the construction of the new library building at a special groundbreaking ceremony and community celebration on Tuesday, October 16th from 4 to 6 p.m. Family-friendly activities will begin at 4 p.m. A ceremony and groundbreaking ceremony will begin at 5:15 p.m. and refreshments will be served throughout the event. And that's all I have.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Close of meeting business items. Number one, we had talked about times on the agenda. Those were placed onto the agenda for this meeting. Tonight was actually a great example of why it's a bit complicated. So if you have any thoughts based on tonight, just let us know and we'll bring it back again. We also do have slides coming for you in the future. Sorry that we didn't have them up here, but we didn't forget. So when you're reading in the future, there will be slides that actually show the events on the television, and we'll try and get those up for the October 16th meeting. Thanks.
Is that it?
That's it.
That's it.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Would so move?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.